Hi. Welcome back. So it's day 3, and thanks so much for being here. Everybody that's been tuning in, I am on day 3 of doing some custom painted Nike SB Dunk lows. And I have been using the HKS livery, which is here, as the inspiration for the custom design. And then it's actually a design that my husband made. So this is a collaboration between the two of us. And this is the original shoe that he designed, and I did a prototype of it, which I do like to show. So let me take a look and show you what that looked like. So I did do a prototype, but I like wearing lows. So this is the stage that we are at right now. So I don't know, I think we're maybe like 8 hours into this shoe. And yeah, I just want to do it live because I want to show kind of the whole process of how long it takes and also when I mess up. So yesterday, if you were tuning in at the end, my camera turned off twice, and I kind of failed to realize that, or remember in the moment, that when my camera turns off, my mic also turns off. So I fixed that, so I have a backup mic now. But then at the very end, it kind of was funny. I didn't realize that my mic was off, and I was talking the best part of the day, and there was no sound. And so if you were tuning in, you could see my expression, which you had no idea what I was saying. So what I was talking about, let me move over to kind of showing this real time. So yesterday, when my mic wasn't on, which it happens, right? It totally happens that sometimes we, just things don't work as we expect it to work. So what I was showing yesterday when my mic went out was I used stencils to put the green pattern onto the shoe. And so as I was peeling off, I was kind of having some moments of like, oh no, it's not working right. So a couple things happened when I took the stencils off. The stencils worked really great to give me like this really clean line, and I'm really happy with that. There are some sections that are going to require some cleanup. So for example, you can see like some of the lines on these, you can see that there's going to be some really detailed cleanup work. But I think what happens with this and why this happens is because I'm trying to go over these seams and stuff like that. And so it's not perfect. So even though I'm using something to press the vinyl down into each groove, and in this case, I've been using just toothpicks, it still isn't 100% perfect. The other thing that was happening is that there are some places where the paint underneath, the black paint, actually lifted and kind of got torn up. So of course that was really disappointing. It's nothing that can't be fixed. It's definitely something that I can just do touch-up paint. I'm not gonna go in and start doing the touch-up until the very end. I did go online last night to kind of take a look. I think there's a couple reasons why that might have happened as I'm problem solving, is that it could be that I didn't wait for the paint to dry long enough before putting the vinyl on. It could also be maybe just the material I'm working with. It's a new material, it's a new replica that I'm working on, so maybe something just didn't take. It could also be that, I don't know, maybe it's the stickiness of the vinyl is just too much. It's hard to know. The other thing that happened is the vinyl, it ended up sticking in some places. So you can kind of see it here. Like on this one, it's a little tacky. So like there was a tackiness that ended up, like a residual tackiness that ended up being on the shoe. And I was like, oh no, how am I gonna get this off? Because I don't want to paint over a stickiness. So I did not know this technique, because I normally, like on jars and bottles, will use soapy water or sometimes alcohol or sometimes like an oil to get stuff off. I did not know that you could take tape and use tape to remove tape, like stickiness. So that's what I was doing. I'll just show you kind of how I was doing that last night as I was just kind of researching, because my mind was a little bit in a funk, and I don't know, that like happens as a creative, right? Like you go to execute something, you have this idea of something you want to make, and then sometimes it just doesn't go the way you planned and your materials don't work out and you have to kind of constantly problem solve. So I was feeling a little down last night. I was feeling just a little frustrated, like, oh no, like it's not working. And I don't know, that's just how I was feeling. So I was working on this last night, but I want to show you kind of what I was doing. I, for the most part, cleaned up this shoe, but I spent probably a good hour last night just sitting and doing this. So like this action, wherever there is stickiness is what I was doing. And you can see on the tape, if it focuses, let's get you focused. You can see, okay. You can kind of see that there's like a little bit of like all that stickiness that's on there. So that's really what I was doing and what I was working on last night as I was researching. So I do still have a little bit that I need to take off of this shoe, but like I said, I put about an hour in. So right now, I'm about 8 hours into this custom shoe, and this is just the left shoe. So I am thinking, even with the stencils, I don't know, my hope would be by the end of tomorrow, hopefully, the plan is maybe I can be done with the left shoe, at least have all the stencils on and be done with that part of it. Maybe not all the detail work, I'm not quite sure, but that would actually be a pretty fast turnaround time compared to the first time that I did this shoe. I also messed up on the shoe here. You can see that this stencil isn't good. Before I knew I could use tape, I decided to do something else and it kind of stripped that. So I used a little bit of rubbing alcohol, which was not the right idea. And that totally stripped up the paint. It totally messed this up. So I'm gonna have to go back in and do a little bit of touch-up work on that. But again, like, I guess it's like that spot testing, and you just kind of don't know when you're working with new materials and you haven't done something. And whenever you're working with replicas or anything, like, the material sometimes changes and you just don't know. So you kind of just have to stay flexible. At least, you know, don't get discouraged. And if you are discouraged, take a breather, take a break, collect yourself. At least that's what I had to do last night. I kind of had to not talk myself off a ledge, but I definitely wasn't feeling the most amazing. But I am really excited to be working on these shoes and how fast the stencils are working. It's pretty cool. Like, I think the stencils are well worth doing. And even for the touch-up work, I think that it's still making it go faster than what it would normally be if I wasn't using any kind of stencils. But speaking of problem solving, I was online kind of taking a look at stuff. And if you just like Google search like custom sneaker and stencils, there's so many good resources online. Lots of really good blogs and stuff like that too, that you can find. I'll go back through my search history and I'll add some links to the description below after we're no longer on live stream, in case you need a reference point. There's so many great artists and people out there who already have the information out and available. So I will just link to them. That's what the internet's there for. And why not share the love? I recently was on Instagram, and there's an artist that I really love, and let me see. I want to get his name right. It's Brian. I want to get the last name right. So Brian Clavel is the artist that I'm referencing, and I will also put his link in the description. But he had a recent post on Instagram on one of his accounts, and he was just talking about, like, for creatives and just saying, like, look, share the love, and I think that's something that I'm kind of learning myself, is that I don't know, but like sometimes I'll get in this mindset of competition, and I feel like it kind of gets worse when I play this like comparison game of like looking at other people's art or what they're doing, and I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I don't know how to do that. And rather than having the mindset and telling myself the story of, you know what, I'm going to use them as an inspiration. I'm so happy that like they are doing it this way and that I can learn from them, and being in a mindset of celebrating their success rather than being jealous of it, because being jealous of it, that's definitely my ego that gets in the way. And so he just had a really great post. It's actually in his stories, just around like, don't compare yourself to other creatives. I'll just read it. Like, so it's, don't compare yourself to other creatives, and how to get over that is first admit that, like, just admit. So it says, let's just skip to the final stage of grief, okay? You compare yourself to others, you get a little jealous, you just do it, though you know better. People are getting contracts, sponsorships, investments, followers, endorsements. You have noticed, right? So it definitely is like, you first got to admit, yeah, people that put their stuff out there, like, you should be happy that they're doing this, because it takes a lot of work to do it. And then just reflect. And so that's like the next step. So you do it, fine, but so what? Is it destroying you or merely a slight pain you feel? Do other people's success inform or motivate your actions? How is this affecting you? Consider all of this and commit to stop it as best as you can. And then count your blessings. Has this and have, like, they have this, they have that, but what do you have? Take stock of your professional achievements and your personal ones. You have great things. You are on your way. You are so good. You are doing it. Then feel the pride. Enjoy your own success. It's so cool that your thing is even happening. Feel proud that your colleagues or peers are finding success. Don't be jealous. Be proud that what you offer is clearly marketable, desirable, and garners recognition. And then celebrate. So I think this is the one that I really wanted to share was, this one's harder to fake. So hopefully you mean it by now, but join in celebration for your peers. Retweet their big news, attend their pop-up or toast or market or meetup. Be supportive and genuine. Success and joy are contagious. And I just thought that was such good advice. The last piece of advice is rip your eyeballs out. If all else fails, stop looking. Take a break from obsessively checking the things that they're doing, their followers, their count, their client roster, looking inwards. Like, and think about instead, like, what are you working on now? What are any personal projects you have? And I think that was just like, it hit so home with me. And I share that because, as a creative, like, I will get stuck in the comparison game and thinking like, oh, this person's better and that person's better. But the reality is like, we all start somewhere. We all start somewhere, and we all start with no knowledge. It's just, how long has somebody been at it? How much time do they have to devote to it? And where are they in their own journey? And rather than seeing it as their competition, realize like, there is a big, big world out there. And I am never going to reach everybody. But if I can reach just one person and make a difference, like, is that enough for me? And for me, that really is enough. Like, if I can inspire one person to show up and start creating, if I can share, inspire one person to say, you know what, I want to take this chance, then I feel like I've contributed and I should celebrate that. And when other people are doing the same thing, I just have to let go and say like, hey, they're doing it too, and who they're reaching is speaking to them, and that's amazing because people are becoming better because of what they're putting out in the world. And so I think like, in terms of like sharing, like, I don't feel the need to have to go online and write my own posts about like how to do this. I'd rather just link to other artists that are doing an amazing job in custom sneakers, or other, people that are putting stuff out there that like you can reference, because it shares the love and it shares, it shares in that community. So I think yesterday I was talking a little bit about community and having that sense, because I feel like when you do that, you start to realize, at least for myself, I have started to realize that I'm happier, like I grow more. I end up wanting to produce more, and I forget about all the things that don't matter, and it just makes life so much easier to live. Like, there's already things in life that like, there's no handbook for life. Nobody has it figured out. So true. Nobody has it figured out. But yeah, I just think like in terms of sharing and being supportive of other people in whatever industry you're in whatever hobby you're in, like, rather than coming to it with comparison, try to come to it with a mindset of like, wow, I'm learning, they're on their journey, I'm where I'm at, and we can celebrate each other. Because I have yet to come across like a person that I've encountered and just like been like, hey, I love your work, or whatever it might be, that isn't like genuine, like, oh wow, and interested in like a kind person. Yes, every so often you might come across somebody who just isn't being kind, but you know, that happens. But for the most part, like I've just seen really, really amazing, genuine people. So that's my thought on that. I don't know, that was just on my mind today. And it's something I was thinking about this morning. So, okay. I think on this shoe, I think all the stickiness is up at this point in time. I'm pretty sure. All the stickiness up. So what I'm gonna do, because if there is still some stickiness, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on putting on the next layer of stencils, because if there is stickiness that I'm gonna have to paint over, I can always like take the stickiness up before I paint over it. So I'm going to pull out my resources again that I'm going to reference. I was talking about having something that looks three-dimensional as I'm working on a two-dimensional surface. I really like having something like that to look at while I work. And then also too, because I did do a prototype, I just have that sitting next to me. So I can just kind of reference what that looks like as I'm working on it. So yeah, so I'll kind of put that here. I have a little bit wider of a camera angle because I feel like I was having a hard time keeping the shoe in the frame. So hopefully this will make it so, you know, there's more of the shoe being shown, even though it's maybe a little distracting around the edges. I want you to be able to see everything that I'm working on. So, okay, these are all from yesterday. So I already did all of the, so I have two different vinyls here, and they're a mirror image of each other. So I did the green ones. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the reverse of the green to do a little bit of layering, because sometimes I want like two green colors close to each other before I lay the purple on top of it. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. The other thing I decided is yesterday I was leaving a pretty large, vinyl print around. So, you know, I was leaving a pretty wide edge so that I had a lot of space to work with when I was painting. But in order to avoid pulling up too much paint and having to do too much touch-up work, this time around I'm going to cut a little bit closer so I don't have quite so much of the a border that I'm working with, and hopefully that will limit the amount of vinyl that is in contact with the shoe, and it will also limit how much stickiness is left over, but also in case more paint pulls up, it will limit that. And I think it'll be interesting today to see how that works, because now the shoes have been sitting overnight, so maybe that was what it was, is that I just didn't allow enough dry time between the black paint that I was working on yesterday and then adding the stencils, which if that's the case, kind of makes sense. I understand that, you know, something might feel dry, but on the surface, but it's not necessarily dry. I think I learned that on my first couple shoes when I was adding the finisher, that it feels a little tacky, and I have a feeling it's because maybe everything underneath wasn't dry enough potentially. So I don't know, we'll just test it out, we'll see, right? Like that's the best I can do. I can just test and see. And okay, so that is definitely a smaller outline than what I was working with before. So hopefully this will help. Okay. So I remember wanting to do more here. So I think I want to do like the reverse of this one, because I think that's going to look kind of cool. So I'm going to do that. And like I said, I have to do touch-up work, but I'm just going to do all of that at one shot at the very end, where I really messed it up here, because if I end up painting over, I'm just going to do that at the very end. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So, and I also think that gotta get my toothpicks out and ready. Yeah, so I think this is going to be cool to overlap it. It'll be just like a nice big block of green. And then I can overlay a purple down the middle to break up that space. But yeah, I think where some of the touch-up work happens is where, you know, it does make it difficult when you have to go over, when you have to kind of go over some of these edges. But I don't know, like I said, I think that the look of that is pretty cool, and I think it's worth it to have to do a little bit of touch-up work on it. So I'm okay with that. And then in this case, because I have to go over those edges, I'm going to cut it so that way it allows me to get that clean line. Otherwise, it's going to be buckling. Yeah, like it's buckling a little bit here. And it's just so it doesn't pull up while I'm painting, then I can cut that and then fold it so that way it lays a little bit more flat, so that seam doesn't come up as I'm working in that section. But yeah, I think this is gonna look cool. And I you know, if I'm careful, I'm being careful. This is a little thin right here. In terms of like, will I overextend my brush stroke and, you know, bleed onto this, but I think it'll be okay. I just have to be careful and stay a little focused and not get distracted like I do sometimes. Yeah, I think that's gonna be cool there. I definitely want something more on the toe box. I think having a lot on the toe box is cool. Maybe connecting these. I think connecting these could be really cool. So I'm liking that. You know, every time I don't feel like working and I just sit down and I kind of make myself work, it always just changes my whole mood and attitude for the day. I think sitting here and making with all of you is really gonna be worth it. I really am enjoying showing up and getting work done, and that's really just the whole reason why I wanted to start this, you know, like I just wanted a reason, an accountability reason to show up and work and enjoy what I naturally love doing, which is making stuff. You know, and I categorize it as making stuff because Yesterday I was talking about my dad a lot, and his support of my art, but my mom as well, my mom definitely as well has always supported me. And, I say I make stuff because here's the thing, I went to college and I technically have an art degree, which doesn't qualify me any more than anybody else. Okay. Side note, I will come back to that thought. Taking it all the way off this stencil was not the smartest idea. Not the smartest. I think I'm gonna lay it down in the center. Kind of like you taco it and you lay it down in that middle section, then I can move it out from there. All right, I will figure it out. But yeah, my mom has also always been really supportive. And my mom's a pretty creative person as well, I don't know if there's really a distinction. And I like to say just make stuff, because here's the thing. As long as you're happy and you're doing some things, who cares what the end product is, right? And who cares if it's considered art or crafting? I mean, to me, it's all just fun, and it all helps us process, it helps us problem solve, and it gives us, something fun to work on. My mom, I grew up, just as I grew up helping my dad, around the house a lot and doing a lot of, household projects, with my dad, pretty much anything household I learned how to do. I know how to fix most things around the house, do basic electrical. I know how to lay flooring. I know how to do basic plumbing. I've learned how to properly paint stuff, put up drywall, strip flooring, bring up flooring, lay flooring, build stuff, make awnings, work with woodworking tools, all kinds of stuff I've learned from my dad. But at the same time, with my mom, she was, I have memories, we used to do cake decorating. She loved doing cake decorating and floral arrangements when I was a kid. And I have memories of that where she was doing cake decorating. And so my brother and I would go to the meetings with her, and, or when she would, this stencil's not working, by the way. We would go with her when she would have her cake decorating get-togethers, where she, I think, was learning. I don't know. I was kind of a kid, so I don't quite remember what she was doing, because us as kids, we had our own back room to hey, play with these cake decorating stuff and learn how to do this. But I'm pretty sure it was a class to teach her how to properly cake decorate. And so, she was amazing. She made all of our birthday cakes as a kid, and really cool stuff. And it was she just was, before Pinterest was a thing, my mom was the person that you wanted to know, because when it comes to cakes and party planning and, really cool party invitations and cool posters that you make for the party, just all these things, before there were all these tutorials, she would do all that. She would also do flower arrangements. And so I also had that influence on me. And so I think that's where, for me, the line of just being creative and what is art, what is not art, kind of started to get blurred. And I really lost that, I think, in college, because, I don't know, for me, one of my really dear friends, we both that's where we met, was in art school. And we kind of talk about how after we both graduated, we had to unbrainwash ourselves and defunk ourselves from the mentality of artistic academics. And I've had this conversation with other artists that have gone to art school. But it is kind of alienating to be in art school. They don't really teach, at least the school I went to, didn't really teach about, working with clients. We had a joke, as long as it matches the couch, it's great art. But we thought that was silly. But now, as kind of a working professional, I realize, actually, if it matches the couch, the client likes it, dude, it's awesome. I don't crap on that anymore. I think I kind of had a very biased, elitist attitude regarding that. But yeah, I mean, all of these things as I grew up kind of have just influenced me and helped me, learn how to make stuff. And it's coming from both sides, and I'm really thankful for it. And I love Pinterest. I love going on there and getting ideas. Oh my gosh. I'm a little bit of a Harry Potter fan. And I remember I had wanted to throw myself an adult Harry Potter birthday party. And I loved Pinterest for that reason, because I just got so many ideas and like templates and everything else from there, and from different people posting regarding like cool things to make and how to recreate this, and I don't know, super cool. And then this stencil, I'm just not having success in this section of the shoe. It's like the way that the shoe is bending, it's making the stencil kind of bend in an odd direction. So let me see if I can cut this in a way that makes it lay flat. Okay, so I'm not... Okay. Third time will be the charm. Okay, so what's happening is as it tries to bend this way, I probably need to find a place. All right. Concentration mode. So I remember thinking I really wanted this to kind of connect up here. So, okay, I know that that's where I want that bit of it. So I think okay, so that edge is down. And now that that edge is down, I want this to look fat. Like in terms of like, it easily could warp. Okay, so that went down smooth. What's happening here? So I think, so I just have one bubble here, but I think I can, like where it's, because of the shape of the shoe, it's, I think I can go a little bit. What I can do is I actually can, from here, I think, bring it in. All right, so it just really, we got it this time. Almost. Almost. I think just cutting that base. Okay, and just by taking this up and reapplying, I have a feeling the reason I'm starting to conclude that the paint last night, in terms of like being sticky, the vinyl being sticky, was probably because the paint was not dry enough. Because right now I'm very easily able to remove these stencils without having any kind of stickiness. I do see a little bit of previous vinyl stickiness right here, so I'm just gonna work on getting that up. Yeah, and I think now there's a little bit more so you can see a little bit more of the, like all the stuff that's coming off as I'm using the tape. So that's a great trick that I learned that I did not know about. Okay, we're gonna do one more green here. We're gonna do one more green here. I feel like I want one more green somewhere across the toe because I really like on the prototype how this toe edge has like the green on it. I think that that looks really, really slick, like this really tight edge, like this really tight line right here. So I definitely want to recreate that. So yeah, I really like that really tight line. So however this goes, this is gonna be a fun fold. It's gonna be fun. Okay, so I really just want to focus on this line first. Okay, so this kind of cool line is down. And this is like a pretty deep roll. So I'm okay with, yeah, it's gonna have to mold to the shape of the shoe. And maybe by cutting it independently, move this. Okay, I think that's a little cattywampus, but I think it's gonna work. Like, I think it gives me the shape that I want around that toe. And once everything's done and kind of layered, I don't think I'm going to notice that it's not like a perfect, because you know, you're dealing with wrapping it around a toe and that curve. So I'm just going to cut that so I don't have stuff sticking up, that will bleed over, and then okay, that seems like a pretty clean line. Oh, that's gonna look pretty good, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I've got 2 more there. And here I've got purple happening and like some purple and purple. Purple. I think I need more on the back for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely want some extra here because I think some purple there is going to be good. And then maybe I can use the tail end of this to kind of come up this way. Or I can use it here. So, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and, like I've done in the past, give myself a little bit of a line. I'm just going to cut this one in half because I'm going to use this half to go this way, and that way I can use the stencil for that, and then this one's going to come here. So. What am I thinking? Okay. I shouldn't have fully taken it off of the quick release side, but it'll be fine. Okay, yeah, that's gonna look good. Let's try this a different way. Let's see if I can be more seamless with this one. It's gonna be kind of fun to have all this pulled over these seams. That'll be fun to paint. But again, I think like sometimes it's that which really helps it stand out, you know? Yeah. I think if I do then like here, I'll probably have like a purple here, and then I can have some purple, probably like a purple. That's a big patch of goo. I definitely want more on the heel. The heel definitely needs some more, so. Just like big and bold across the back is gonna be good. To make it a little bit easier, I gave myself that line, so I'm just gonna cut this because I think that's gonna make it a lot easier. And sorry, you can see it's over here in my lap. I gotta use the table. Help hold that. Wrong direction to peel this time. think that works. That was a little challenging. Just thinking now, I feel like I could put this here. That kind of is cool because then like purple could kind of go here and maybe here and it always feels like maybe I'm doing too much, but then at the end of the day, no, I don't think it's too much. I feel like something else needs to go here because this is a lot of negative space otherwise. Especially like if you compare it to there, but I wonder if that's kind of cool. I think on this one though too, every so often, I feel like I would do a small one in green. Now that I'm remembering, it's been a few months since I did these, but like I know this is a small one right there to fill that space instead of it being large. And then same thing here, it's a small. I don't have any small stencils printed, so I guess I could do that. I could print some stencils. Let's see what it would look like with a big one. Right? Like if I just did a big one here, just through this. Maybe offset it. I think just offset it. I think that's going to be I think that'll be cool. I always liked collaging. I don't know. I feel like that's something I want to get back to. I've been sketching around and thinking about the idea. I let things marinate a long time upstairs sometimes. Like, I just was reading an article regarding writing and procrastination. That's maybe not the worst thing because our brains are kind of processing stuff. At least I feel like that for myself, like I'll get an idea and I'll think about it and it doesn't seem like I'm working on anything, but then I'm really thinking about it a lot in the background. And and then maybe it's like I might not physically be making something, but I'm thinking about it. But then I never really fully make traction on it until I actually start doing, right? But yeah, I've always really enjoyed making collages and the freedom that kind of comes with just adding different materials. A lot of my work in college, my artwork in college was, especially my ceramic work, was working in mixed media, but on ceramics, which is not a traditional material that you mix mediums on, meaning like I was doing ceramic sculptures and then I was adding like fabric or other materials to it. And I really enjoyed that because it felt very collage-like to me. And I've kind of gotten away from that since I moved more so into photography, because I feel like photography is so literal, it's capturing what's actually happening, that I feel as though I kind of have, I just kind of like lost that part of something that I really actually enjoy doing. And so I've been thinking about what that might look like. And I started to follow a couple artists on Instagram that are more like composite artists, but like more collage, right? So I've noticed that in the field of photography, maybe composite is either very realistic and or it can be very look very kind of postery and collagey. And I actually have an affinity, and I like both of those aesthetics quite a bit, actually. This is going to be interesting if I fold this over. So something I've been thinking about, of like, if I really enjoy collages, is that something that I want to put some more time and thought into regarding, making some of that work. So I definitely have intentions to, my making stuff isn't just sneakers. It's not just three-dimensional. When I'm done with this set of sneakers, I plan to do like a stream of the behind the scenes of a photo shoot and some self-portraits. So I've been working, like I said, in photography predominantly, just because as a medium, I felt like it's just the gear itself, like as I've been a little nomadic over the last few years, having a bunch of art equipment and art supplies, it's not the easiest to be somewhat nomadic. And I mean, in a month, we're moving countries again, and that'll be the it'll be the fourth international move we've done in a period of 5 years. And so, like when that's kind of your personal life, then it makes it difficult to have a lot of supplies and stuff when you're trying to fit everything you own into like 4 suitcases. Having said that, I say that because I feel like photography, if I have a laptop and I have a camera, then there's so much that I can do. So and I really just kind of want to show that process as well of how I go about doing my photography work. Like that's, I've been working on taking self-portraits for about the last 7 years. I've always loved camping. Like I grew up camping. Like that's how we vacationed as a family. We would go camping. I started backpacking. I think my first backpacking trip was when I was 8. About 8, because that's when I got my first pocket knife. I remember my dad gave me my first pocket knife because you can't go backpacking without a good pocket knife. I still have it to this day. That means I've had that pocket knife for 30 years. Wow. I've always just grown up with a love of camping. And, my husband, he didn't camp. Like that wasn't something that was part of their family tradition or anything like that. And so I introduced him to it, and thankfully he loved it. I don't know if we'd still be together if he didn't. And since then, like we've, a really good friend took us off-road, like overland camping a few years ago. And after that, we were like both hooked. And so we ended up investing in getting an off-road vehicle and we made it overland ready. Super love that. Super love that car. He's our kid. He's our child. Like it's just, in that process and like that freedom of just going out and exploring, like I always just feel more myself. I feel right with the world. I feel empowered. I feel quiet I feel like I'm my true self when I'm out in nature. And so I had gone through a really rough time at my professional job. I left it about 7 years ago, but I was really torn down by that job. I just felt like such a widget, and I just really started to question so many things about who I was, and I just lost, I don't know, I allowed myself to be consumed by whatever it was I was being consumed by. And, I kind of just started to feel really disempowered, and like I didn't know who I was anymore. I since have kind of realized that like the experience that I had at that job is probably one of the better things that ever happened to me, because it helped me kind of hit like a bottom that I don't think I ever would have hit any other way. And it helped me really learn that like maybe I'm not good at this, and I really had to let go of ego. And I think I learned a lesson of ego, of like, I'm not good at this, and it's okay to say that I'm not good at this, and it's okay for me to understand what I am good at and what I'm not. And rather than trying to focus on improving what I'm not great at, why don't I focus on what I'm really good at and just put everything into that? But this has come a few years after, as I've really had to do a lot of self-reflection and work to get to that point. But to get back to why I started to take self-portraits, because I was feeling feeling really, really lost. And so I started to, as we were road tripping and as we were off-road camping, because I just feel so whole in nature, I just started to take portraits. So I started to put myself into these landscapes that I really loved, and I started to take portraits. And I've been doing that for about the past 7 years. And I haven't shared a lot of the work because I'm very scared. It feels very personal. And I also don't always know exactly what I'm shooting for. Like I'll see a scene and I'll be like, okay, this is a beautiful moment happening right now. Like I need to take some photos, and I just jump in and I make it happen. And I don't always know exactly how I'm going to use those photos. Other times I will actually know like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I see the shot and I see this moment happening, and I'm like, I already can picture the final product. Maybe I'm feeling something at the time. But yeah, that's some other stuff that I've been working on and making, and I will be streaming on this channel, and just kind of the stories behind that, the what I'm thinking, just all the things that go into that process. Some of it live, some of it in hindsight, but I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, so after I'm done with these shoes, I will be streaming specifically. I've been doing some sketches. So recently I bought a mattress pad, and it came in like a big clear bag, but it's kind of big and I kind of can fit inside of it. So I have been sketching actually to represent that time at that job of just how I felt, like so trapped. I felt like I was being watched like in a fishbowl. I also felt like something was holding me back. I don't know, like these are just some of the things I've been brainstorming and thinking about. And yeah, so I want to take some portraits inside of this box. And so I will be streaming that next once these shoes are done. So yeah. I know it's getting a little personal, but I don't know, that's me. I don't know. I remember being in college and talking with my studio mate, the person who I shared like my small studio space with. I mean, it was a big space, but the gal that I sat next to, just remember like talking with them, and I just remember like both of us were dealing with artwork and working on artwork that, talked about different subjects, but we always would have the conversation of like, if people just talked more about what they go through, like the human experience, right? Then like, could we save ourselves so much by just talking about our existence as humans a little bit more? Because I don't know, like the more I talk with people in a very candid, non-filtered, I mean, I'm not saying non-filtered like it's you have to like share everything, but like just to be honest about the human experience and the things that we struggle with. Like, we all, at least for myself, like I deal with fear, I deal with ego, I deal with thinking I'm better than somebody, I deal with feeling like I'm not as good as somebody. I deal with feeling like, dude, does anybody ever have it figured out? Like all the things that we deal with that we don't really want to talk about, like if we just shared about them, how much time and energy could we save as humans? I don't know. Like, I feel like we're so similar. Like if you strip away the things that make us different, because there's always things that make us different. But if you strip all of that away at the end, we are all more similar than we think. Like every person I've ever met has fear. Every person I've ever met has been scared to do something that they want to do. Every person I've ever met has, had something that they felt that they were worried about talking about. And I just think these are such basic emotions that we all deal with, but for some reason we don't talk about them. And I don't know, I remember having those conversations with my studio mates specifically around like, if we just shared these different things, how much time and energy and knowledge, like how much time and energy would we save, but almost how much knowledge would we really know? And how would it take us further along in life faster to experience and have like a whole experience? Maybe that's what I've been trying to explore with my artwork. As I'm just kind of talking out loud. That's actually quite the revelation right now. Maybe that's what I've really been working on, and that's part of the reason why I haven't shared for the last 7 years as I've been making. I've been dealing with, I don't feel like I'm good enough. I don't feel like I'm talented enough, because I play the comparison game, and I've allowed myself, as I stated, to not be happy for other artists and other creatives, but compare. And I've kind of learning to let go of that ego, and realize that like, nah, I'm happy that somebody that I'm inspired by is doing their thing, because if they weren't doing their thing, I wouldn't see their work and I wouldn't be inspired by it. But it's scary for me to maybe want to share about the thoughts that go through my head as I'm making something. I don't know. And it's also deep, it's not, I don't know. I'll get there. I will get there. Okay. Okay, so what do we got? That's looking good. I think like just some purple going here would be good. Purple coming right through here and then right through here. Just don't know if I need a little bit more green in this section. It is on the inside of the shoe though, so I don't know. It's not like it's the outside of the shoe. I feel like the outside of the shoe is a lot busier. You know what? I think I'm just going to leave this section here. I'm just going to leave this. Yeah, I think that's good. Let's get another coat of green on, I think. Oh, is this too similar? Oh, that feels very similar. Do you see it? It's like basically like the same stencil. But this is going to get covered up from this one. And this one you don't really see. So actually, now that'll be cool because I can break it up with probably some purple coming through here. I can break it up. So I think that'll be fine. I know I said I'm going to leave that blank, but let me just hold something up and see if I like it. If I actually want to leave that negative space. I think this would be good. I think having just a little bit here, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, because it looks very visually heavy right now because the stencil's outlining everything, so it looks like it's going to be heavier than it is, but when I remove it, there's not going to be as much, there's going to be a lot more negative space, right? It kind of like, my brain doesn't necessarily want to like invert it, just wants to see what it sees, but it'll be inverted once it's all said and done. So I think okay. Do I have anything in here? I want something that I can use. I'm not using transfer paper, right? Like, I think I've used transfer paper before, and it works really well if like I'm doing like super detail, like letters or something that need the spacing. Yeah, that need like all that spacing. But I think it's working out well to not necessarily. I mean, good transfer paper might actually make my life easier, but I don't have good transfer paper, so that is not really an option right now. So I'm going to do this so that it stays the way I want it as I So this corner is kind of fun. I'm gonna have to, because it's going around like this very difficult little, there we go. I just cut that. I don't know if you can see, but I just cut that so it goes around that tip of the Nike swoosh, that really pointed end. Because remember, the swoosh is staying black. So I don't have an intention to paint that. I like it staying black. I think it looks cool. Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot better. Sweet. Okay, so let's move the stencils out. Let's move the paint in. Okay, so using the Angelus South Beach for my color, and I'm just using the straight color, but the first round I did use a base of white in it because that does definitely help with coverage from going from black to a lighter color versus just the South Beach. So those are the two that I'm going to be using there. And I remember yesterday I was finding success with these two filberts. So I have found that I actually do like to use filberts. This is a filbert 2 is the little one, and then, well, they both say they're filbert 2s, but they're by different brands. So this dark one is actually by Angelus itself, but it's about twice the size. This other one is a brand called Princeton. Oh, if I go this way. everything's upside down. That's what I'm using. It says that they're both 2s, but one is definitely bigger than the other. So I don't know. And then I remember finding success with the toothpick, because sometimes I will mess up and get in a groove or whatever it might be. I also remember having just a couple thin pieces of cotton in case I messed up was helpful. I will put those within reaching distance, because if you bleed over, you want to, at least I want to swipe it up really fast. And then just one or two cotton swabs. So just Q-tips, I think, are also always really good for touch-up work. You do makeup, you understand that Q-tips sometimes are your cotton swabs are your best friend. Okay, I already have some water, and I have paper towel to help with the dry brushing, and then I just have one over here in case I need it for any spills or oopses or anything like that. So, yeah. I have to say, I think I'm liking this more wide angle. I feel like it gives a better sense of like what I'm working on, and it just gives more space. So let me know if you like it. I'm kind of liking it a little bit more. Okay. So first round. Shake, shake, shake. I remember last time I had a little too much paint. I don't like to waste it, so and then I just did a little bit of, I won't stir with brushes because it'll ruin. If you try to mix with brushes, it really does ruin the brush itself. So always mix with like a palette, or in this case, I just mix with one of the toothpicks. Yeah. So just adding a bit of that white, I think, will help give a little bit more coverage over the black by doing it this way, at least for round one. And the paint goes, I don't like to start with dry brushes. I like to have a little bit of wetness, and I don't want to waste. This feels so frugal, but anywho, there we go. That felt a little too frugal, but whatever. All right, so again, as I get started, I always want to go I don't want to go into the stencil, right? So you don't want to go into the stencil because you don't want to swipe paint underneath that stencil. So I want to go this direction. So from the outside of the stencil in my design, where I want the paint. Otherwise, you might have it bleed under, and then you're just going to have a lot of cleanup work. I've also mentioned before that I tend to hit the lace, anything that has stitching. I tend to hit a little bit harder with a little bit more paint on the first round, because then it makes me not have to use as much paint the second time around. That's just something that I've kind of, it works for me. Do it that way. And then I'm not painting the swoosh. So I'm just coming up to that edge, and I want there to be like that black ledge. I don't want this black ledge. Like, I want there to be that defined black ledge on the swoosh. But like on this ledge that it's going to be green, I actually want it to have a nice heavy green, because if I don't do that, our eyes are pretty amazing things. I don't know if you've ever seen like a photograph or anything like that, but like our eyes, shouldn't say our eyes, our brains are very good about filling in information that's not there if it thinks it's there. So if there's any bit that our eyes pick up, and I've learned this doing photography and doing edit work, like let's say I have to clone something out of the background, and I learned this from one of my dearest friends who is by far one of the most amazing artists I've ever met. He's the most talented person I know alive, and I'm so blessed to call him a friend. But I remember him teaching me that, you know, like I remember him teaching me this concept when I was first kind of learning Photoshop, and you know, he just was like, well, if for any reason something looks off, let's say when you're editing or like cloning something out, like removing something from an image, like because our brains use like what we see and like we interpret it, like we can tell when something is a little bit off. And so I share that because if I leave this edge, if I leave any dark on this edge, my brain is going to pick up that dark and it's going to create the line, even if it's just a small spot or two. And I don't want that to happen. I want it to feel like a seamless, like this stencil and this design is going over all of these different curves. Yeah, but I learned that, from my friend in doing Photoshop. And so I've always been very conscientious of thinking about that. So this stencil is actually impeding on this other one. I'm going to cut it. My nails are not long enough and my fingers are not tiny enough to do that work. So I had some really thin tweezers. Those are probably too thin. You could get away with something not so thin, but those are what I had in my personal tool bag. So I can tell I'm probably going to have some cleanup work because this is quite I've got like these little fine points that then are also folding over. You can kind of see it. Like I've got all the points are, where is it? Like all the points are folding over a lot of like the stitching of the leather. So it's going to be really fun for cleanup, but I mean, it'll be cool. I think, and these are like sometimes the things that take a little bit longer, but to me, it's really worth it for those little details. And then because there's already green here, I don't have to cover the additional green. I just have to kind of butt up against the green that already is. One down. How many to go? I think that I've read online that if you have access to, I put apps on time limits. So every time I'm on here, because I use one computer, I can't, I have to watch my stream. So if any comments that they show up on my iPad, because I only have one screen. I'm not on a double screen right now. I just have my laptop. But what was I going to say? What was I going to say? Oh, I was online and I don't have access to an airbrush, but I know a lot of artists that do custom sneakers use airbrushes. And I do think that potentially if you have access to an airbrush, that can be a much faster way to give you coverage and speed up the process. I just don't have one. And I'm not right now in the position of wanting buying another piece of equipment and moving that piece of equipment. And I also don't make sneakers on a full-time basis that I feel like it would be a good use of my budget that I give myself, I should say. Not that I have, but I do kind of give myself a budget when it comes to spending for my crafting and what I like and my art and my making, you know. I also think finance is something, like personal finance is something that I don't think we talk a lot about. I don't know why it's so taboo to talk about personal finance so much. The job I was referencing was actually in banking. After my art degree, I went into banking, retail banking for 8 years. I was a manager most of the time. And I learned a lot about personal finance just by doing. And, you know, I worked at all kinds of branches. I worked at high transaction branches with, you know, low balances in the bank accounts. I worked at incredibly high, just like high volume, but low balance. I worked at low volume, but very high balance branches. So I worked with all kinds of clientele. I worked at some branches that was a lot of business accounts versus personal accounts. So I've seen a lot of it, and just in interacting and like problem solving for customers or whatever, there's so much that I learned about finance. So I'm always also really thankful for love YouTube, because like I learned so much from YouTube. There's just so much good information that you can really learn. And I'm just so thankful for anybody that shows up and makes and puts in the time and energy to make a video that teaches me something. It is really phenomenal. I definitely have some favorite finance courses. One of my favorites actually is 2 Cents. I'll put the link in there. I want to say it's from, is it from NPR? I don't know. But it's a husband and wife couple that does it. I don't know if it's sponsored through PBS. It might be a PBS program. For some reason, I feel like it's PBS, or PBS has one. But it's 2 Cents. It might be PBS. Let me take a look. Well, it's called 2 Cents. I will add it. Yes, it's PBS. So it is. It's PBS. So it's
time updates, delete dependencies, and bring emails to the schedule. This is Reich Gantt charts. A plan.
I don't want. Sorry about that. It was playing in the background. But yeah, it's PBS. 2 Cents. It's one of my favorite finance channels for basic personal finance. I think it's pretty fantastic. I'm kind of in paint jam mode, so I'll turn my music up just a little bit. and I think from yesterday, because it has been a couple months since I painted shoes, is even though this first coat is just meant to be a base layer, I still want to try to make it less streaky. So, just having really even brush movements, brush strokes, and maybe just going back over it so it feels a little less streaky. I think it'll help with overall coverage. I think that's what I was dealing with yesterday with some of them, that I had to end up doing like a fourth coat on a couple. So I think by just being a little bit more even with my strokes here, that'll probably help with that aspect of it. I'm not using any more paint necessarily, just a little bit more even in terms of the strokes. And again, this is one of those lines that I really want to make sure I get paint into this beautiful rolled leather on the toe box on this shoe, which I just think is really a nice detail on this particular shoe. Oh yeah. What's going to be interesting about these shoes is all the shoes I've made so far, we've just been using as kind of display shoes. We haven't been wearing them because the replicas themselves aren't necessarily good quality and are pretty uncomfortable. But this pair I will wear. So I'm going to be really curious to see how it holds up, how my paint holds up, if there's a lot of cracking. So I think probably after a couple months of wearing, I'll talk about that. I'll let you guys know, like how it went, was there cracking? What am I seeing? Yeah. I do also have my husband has another design that is lined up I'm very excited about. That probably won't be for another couple months. Not until we get our move taken care of, get settled in a little bit. Once that happens, I will have another pair of shoes to do. I'm pretty excited about that. Those ones are going to be based on the Martini livery. So I'm pretty excited about that. I gotta say, it's been really fun to collaborate with my husband on this project. And I just in general enjoy collaborations. We lived in Barcelona for a couple years, and during that time, I started to explore a more collaborative way to work and photograph with clients and people, and try to, I'm really interested, I think, in telling stories. Because I think we all have a story to tell, but it kind of goes to the whole, I think we're a lot more similar than we think we are. And I want to tell those stories. I want to tell, I don't know, maybe just show like how we're a lot more similar than we are different. And if we start to recognize that, maybe that really eliminates a lot of the tensions we see in the world right now. But at the end of the day, like, we're all human, like, we're all human. And we all feel the same emotions. We all feel the same emotions. I was listening to James Baldwin the other night, and his speech on the artist struggle, using the word artist, but I don't know that it means artist as artist. Like, it's anybody who has anything to say. Talk about the human experience. And so, I don't know, I've just been thinking about that a lot lately. But yeah, I mean, I think collaborations is a cool way, like, in this sense, like I've said, like, the things I've learned about my husband in this sense of, like, I had no idea he was such a sneakerhead. I knew he loved cars, but I didn't know he loved sneakers this much. And then he didn't know, like, he knew I'm an artist, right? Like, he we've been together since I was in college. So it's like, yeah, he saw my artwork. He knows that I know how to make stuff, but he'd never seen me apply my making skills to something that he was really into. So when I started to do this, he was really blown away, and he really learned like, oh, wow, like he's really good at this kind of stuff. And he was pretty blown away by that. So I think it's cool. Like when you collaborate, you really learn about the other person. And so I don't know, that just really interests me. So I was exploring that. I have some photos. Again, I will be sharing them. That seems to be a trend with me. I will be doing this. I didn't even tell people about this channel, not even my close friends, until I had a couple videos up, because it's like, I don't want to just keep talking about like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Just do it and tell people after you've done it. I'm kind of talking to myself on this one. This is a self-pep talk. Just do it. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was saying just do it, and I'm working on Nikes. Oy. That was unintentional. Yeah. I'm doing a better job of watching my battery strength on my camera, so I don't think I'll run out today. I feel like it's moving along at a pretty decent clip. Oh, I guess if I move here, it's, yeah. I feel like I'm probably over here. Oh well. Yeah, this is really fun. Because on this one, it gets it, but on this one, it does not. That one's part of the swoosh. And then I didn't tape up the fabric, so I got to be really careful around this edge. It's not bad. I'm gonna do where the swoosh is, otherwise I will probably forget again and be like, no, I didn't mean to paint that. I'm gonna start there so I don't forget. Look at the big brain on me. Yes, I think today probably getting all the green done probably will be where I'm at. I think will be probably the amount of work I can get done today. If I have time, I will probably print the stencils for the purple at the end if I've got some. I still have the bandwidth for it. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I work, I just lose complete track of time. Today is a good example of that. Okay, this is this edge, because I have this edge to do. I don't want to do the Nike edge, the back of the swoosh, but I want this one to have it. And then I'm gonna switch to my smaller brush because right now I'm going where that, then it's hard to see, but there's like Nike stitching. And so there's the Nike, the word Nike is stitched into the top part of the heel on this shoe. And I want to play with those being in like maybe one green, one blue, or maybe I'll make them both kind of like the, like this guy right here, like this kind of magenta-y color when I add that. So I don't want to paint over it. I'm going to use a smaller brush so I can get around that without actually painting over it. I feel like my mic wasn't this whole time. I don't know if my mic was picking up all the sound on my computer as well. Yikes. I'm sorry if that was the case. Making first. Technical, I figure out as I go. Don't let it stop me. Okay. I gotta go here. I can't see what I'm doing. So that is, you can see the E there on the Nike. I'm about halfway through, almost done with the shoe. Only got one more stencil on this first coat. I don't have to paint up here because that is the swoosh. So I just have to get down into this. First coat, that base coat is on. I got my heat gun. I'm just gonna hit it with some heat. A little bit of a stretch break. Back's been really tight lately. Okay. Just double checking the battery on my camera looking good. Mic's working fine, so don't know why it was doing before, but whatever. Okay. So with that paint, I'm gonna go just with the straight at this point in time. The South Beach color, so I would rather just put some in here and do that. This is the side I was just working on, so I'm gonna start back on the first side. Second coat. Yeah, it always goes a little bit faster when a first coat. Being a little bit more even with the first coat strokes is definitely, I'm definitely seeing is helping as I'm putting on the second coat. I definitely see that it is helping. That's exciting. Earlier I had referenced, a lot of times I go into like stew mode or marination mode or whatever you want to call it. Like, you have an idea and like working it out in your head and thinking about it and ruminating on it. And, maybe you're not physically, but just needing that like time to process and other things, like journaling. And I was, so I guess one thing, but it's tied to a couple things that have happened in my life. I don't know, but these periods of just shutting down, but just not having like to really respond. And I don't know, I shared this with my friend last night when we were talking. Turns out they deal with the same thing. We were wondering like, what is the name for it? The emotion describing and the thing we were describing was message, like something comes across your email, whatever it might be, some of communication, not a phone call where that you pick up and you talk to somebody, but some sort of communication where you have an opportunity to pause and respond at any point in time. And for myself, like, find that I just don't have the bandwidth to respond. The point where sometimes, like, especially if somebody can see, like, for example, a text, they can see that you've read it and you don't want to like leave. So at least for myself, it's like, I don't want to be rude on read, but I know right now, like where I'm at, I just don't have like the capacity to respond. So I don't even open it. And sometimes I will go a day. Sometimes I'll go a couple hours. Sometimes I'll go like a few days. It's just interesting, like that I feel like that. And I feel like there's something wrong. But at the same time, like when I think back, I don't know why I feel this pressure, for example, to text message or an email. When I talked to my friend about it, like, I remember, okay, when I was a teenager or early teens, things like that, and even my early, it would be similar to a friend calling you or somebody wanting to get in touch with you, and you just don't pick up the phone and have a conversation, so you like let get it, and then you just let the answering machine get it a couple times until you're ready to call or talk with them. Interesting. It was kind of comforting to know that I'm not the only one. And I bring this up because like the stories we tell ourselves, the stories I tell myself. So about a month ago, I received an email that I was so excited to receive the email. It's somebody that I haven't talked to many, many years, over a decade. I've not talked to this person, but younger years, we were really good friends. We hung out all the time. We even were roommates for a period of time. And a very, very wonderful email. It brought me to tears, but like in a good way. It was them where they are in life, our friendship meant to them all those years ago, how it helped them grow and how it's influenced who they are today. And so it was a very meaningful email. This was a month ago, and I have not, in the moment when it, wow, it impactful, and I just had this overwhelming sense of emotion, a good sense of emotion. And at the same time, like, it's been a month now, and I just don't have and I'm not ready to respond yet. What was kind about this email was it kind of almost gave me permission of like, if you don't want to respond, you don't have to, which I do plan to respond. I'm just not quite ready yet. And it's not that I'm worried about, oh, well, this person thinks, not at all. It's just, I have to process. And sometimes I realize, and I share that because additionally, this last week, a couple emails that came across us and a couple online messages and stuff like that, it took me about a week to respond to some of them. not because like, oh, I didn't want to respond, or, oh, I was avoiding something, or they were, it wasn't anything negative. It's just like emails, all very positive. I just didn't have the bandwidth. But then yesterday, all days, I had a ton. And so like in one day, I ended up responding to all these different emails, all these different messages. I reached out to a couple people, had been on my mind, but I hadn't actually text message like, oh, I'm thinking. Had like a short 15, 20 minute conversation with a couple people. It's been a few months I've talked to since. And I was like, wow, why today? Is it because I allowed myself the time to just separate and not give myself that pressure? I don't have an answer. It's just if like anybody else deals with that. My friend deals with it. I deal with it. I have to assume that there's more away. And then today, yet similarly, add that recently I like to write physical old school letters, and I recently sent care packages and letters to some friends with some very heartfelt notes of some things that were on my, again, similar to the email I got, letter just expressing gratitude and just some things, right? And same thing, close friends that I sent them to, and I hadn't heard anything, and I was, my initial thought wants to be, oh, something wrong. Ooh, like, even though if I received a letter like that, I'd be like, oh, wow, amazing. And then sure enough, today, I get like text messages from 2 of them of like, oh, thank you so much. And same thing, it's like, maybe they just needed time as well. Similar to like how I have an email from a month ago, a couple weeks to respond, because sometimes you read something, sometimes you feel something, and you just need time to process. And I think that that's okay. It's just something I've been thinking about, right? Like needing time to process and being the time. I feel like so often today, I feel pressured to respond immediately, to be able to articulate immediately, to be able to be able to, on the fly, always respond. For me, that's not the healthiest. I sometimes need that time to think, to process, and to respond in a very heartfelt way that feels very true to me. And also to not respond if I don't like it's, or if it's not going to put me in a good mental place, and that's okay. Just something I was thinking about. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Leave a comment. You can, leave a comment. I don't know if there's a way to direct message on YouTube. I don't think there is. On Twitch there is, but not on YouTube yet. Maybe they'll come up with it. But yeah, send me a message. You can also find me at the same name on Instagram if you wanted to private message there. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Erin, same name on my Instagram. I will make sure that there is a link on my YouTube channel or my Instagram. My website. There's a link for my website. But I'd love to know what you think about that. I would love to know if that's something that you yourself kind of deal with and what your experience has been. And do you feel guilty about not responding? Does it give you anxiety? Does it? Because I felt all those. I felt guilty. I felt all kinds of stuff. And it's on the receiving end of an email, but also when you send something, kind of wanting to be able to, well, did they get it? Did I do something wrong? And so that's why I mentioned, today I got a couple text messages back of oh, I got your letter and thank you so much. And I guess because they're close friends, my first instinct was, maybe they just didn't get it or maybe they need time to process. But if it was her, I would probably be well, how come they haven't responded and question that? And yet I'm willing to give people I truly love and care for, that I have a deep relationship, the time and space to do that. So why don't we give it to strangers? That was something I thought in my head of that's a behavior I want to change. I want to change. Ooh, that's better. I want to change, how I interact with time online or with people I don't know very well. They have their lives, they have their thing. And It has nothing to do with time in our space to do things in our own pace, and that's okay. And that the speed in which maybe technology or society moves, maybe we don't fit in within that. Maybe that's not what we need for us personally. But at the end of the day, it's about knowing who you are and what you need. I'm discovering about myself. I'm realizing I need this sometimes. And it's okay for me to be honest with somebody of like, hey, I know it's taking me like a week to respond, but sometimes I just need that time. Not to explain myself, but more to let them know like, hey, I genuinely care. I sometimes just time. And maybe that's me sharing my own human experience and trying to share, like, maybe they feel the same way, but they don't realize that there's to also take time when they respond to me. I don't need to use this teeny weeny one. I use teeny weeny one because hated area. Much cleaner today. I don't have paint everywhere. I'm not getting paint everywhere. That's good. I needed a day of painting to remind myself what it feels like to paint. That's what happens when you take a couple months off between shoes. I was noticing yesterday, sometimes like I wouldn't sometimes clean between. It was like getting too much paint on it, and therefore it was dropping too much paint, and so I was getting a little gloppy. Is that a word, gloppy? Like too much paint was being deposited on the shoe. It was getting gloppy. It's a better word. It's glop. Glop. Interesting how vocabulary. Glob sounds like what it is. Language is fascinating. As I've started to try to learn some new languages, I am not new, incredible, beginner and basic. In 2 different languages. I started learning Spanish while living in Spain. I got okay, a little transactional, but I can kind of figure out what's going on. But if I don't know the words, got okay. And living here in Asia, I've been learning Mandarin, Chinese, and same thing. I know a lot more than I did starting out. It's a very difficult language. But I find language, I never thought I was a language person. In fact, I was always kind of convinced that, even told, no, learning a language is genetic. It's not who you are. I don't think that that's true. I think it's just, we all have the capability to, it's just hard and it's difficult and it's really frustrating. And a friend has a child. Well, my good friends have children. In particular, her child is a little over 1 now. And it's starting to develop that language, learn words. I remember watching a YouTube video just of when you see a kid having a tantrum, just think about it. I feel like I understand them better now. Understand if a kid has, imagine I now know what it feels like to you have all these things you want to communicate, but you don't have the words, you know? When I was living in Spain, people thought I was like a freaking idiot because I can't communicate, and how frustrating. You know, here it comes through, and I can imagine like speak a language where I can communicate. I can only imagine as a kid, like tantrums, they have all these thoughts, all these emotions, and they don't know how to communicate it. Yeah, my languages now, I'm super interested in them. It really changes the way you think, because I remember I was listening to an interview about this in a book that was written on this regarding learning a language young is easier when you're young, but it starts to instill it teaches a different way to think because you process information differently. And so it actually makes children, this was specifically on children, but I feel like an adult because I have such a better understanding of the human experience now that I've tried to learn languages and at least basic communication in two other that are not my tongue. And when I say basic, I mean like I can introduce myself, say I'm related to so-and-so, and say I want something, find my way home usually. Like, that's what I mean when I say like basic. And I feel particular topics. But, you know, it really has changed my perspective on yeah, like I said, the human experience. And never again assume I understand what somebody's going through. Never again will I think, oh, yeah, I just don't think we can assume. But yeah, I'm super interested in languages. And it really does, I think, change. It expands how we view the world, which I think is really cool. Super fascinating that there's so many different languages, and as a species, we have different ways. It's pretty amazing when you look at it that way. When I look at it that way, not you. When I look at it that way, because preach. And if I come across that way, that is something I am working on. I don't want to be, I just want to share my experience. And maybe my experience will challenge your experience. And I want to know your experience because maybe your experience will challenge my experience. And I'm working on just never assuming that I know. There's always something that I don't know. Point of view is just my point of view because it's my lived experience. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just how I have existed as a human so far. More paint. More paint. I don't know why I do these weird happy dances. Speaking of languages, I am looking into figuring out how to add subtitles to my videos. I have intentions to do that. I would like to do that. Oh. Erin! Yeah. Would like to have subtitles. It'd be cool to have subtitles in the different languages that I've studied and I'm trying to learn. Maybe at some point I'll get confident to start practicing live. I always get super shy. I don't get it though. I totally get being somewhere and like you can't what's happening and you know you could talk, but then like you're super shy. Hard. It's hard. Okay. I think that's coat 2. Did I miss anything? No. Coat 2 is done. Hey. We're gonna hit it with the heat gun and go for coat 3 coming up next. Okay. That's right. Stretch break. Stretch break. Okay. Maybe we won't need a coat 4 today. So, see how it goes. Oh yeah. I don't, this, do a 4th coat. Excited, and then I move up onto the swoosh. Woohoo! That's gonna require some touch-up. Get excited. I'll have to touch that up. I guess what's nice is black paint covers things much faster. So the touch-up going back over and doing black will definitely maybe 2 coats. So that should go pretty good. Pretty good. What is that? I don't know that it'll take that long, but other than I always say, oh, touch-up won't take, it takes like 5 hours. Then again, I am very, very detailed. As I once had a professor tell me, I am very, what were the words that they used? I'm very fastidious and persnickety about the, I don't know if that was a compliment or just a statement of fact. Or opinion. All around the fabric. And I think I mentioned the reason why I'm leaving the town white right now is I'm just not sure if I want to keep it white or not, because especially after I put laces on it, painted the fabric before with, I've never loved the way that it looks because it always just doesn't look as dark and as rich as it being regular fabric. I might just do the logo and then leave the rest white because I am going to have laces. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm kind of playing around with that because on the actual, like if you look at an actual livery, like on a car, cars, since it's going to have like, it's going to have some sort of number or like HKS or something like that. Like in this case, the rims are white. So the white on the tongue and those aspects of a car that has this livery on it. So that's why I'm not painting that. It will not only save me time, I think it might look better. Or could it just be a way to naturally use the base to my advantage? Make it part of the design. So that's what I'm thinking there. Small brush here soon. I'm just trying to see how much I can cover. Okay, that's right. Gotta come here. I'm having a hard time seeing in the light that I have up there. So. And I think some of this definitely is going to end up being some touch-up work that I end up doing once all the stencils come off. Starting to see the finish line. If you guys like this playlist, I can always add it. I really like it. It's for stream beats, and it is, if you're making any kind of videos or doing any kind of streaming, it is copyright free music by Harris. His channel. We found him. Found its stream beats, and I just really love it. You know, he makes it available. I'm streaming Spotify, but I don't know. I also just like lo-fi beats. They're just one thing about music, but I won't spend the time to put together a playlist, like find a song that goes with this. I love music. I just don't like making playlists. So I remember in the studio back in the day, like I would just get one CD and I would just play it over and over, and over until everybody in the studio got tired and was like, please turn that off. That's just me. The fact that there's just like a bass background music, it's nice, it's relaxing. Kind of reminds me, like, learned of lo-fi, and as it kind of started to take off, I was like, you know, me of like old school, just basic jazz channel my dad always listened to and still listens to, but now it's not. But just like around. In fact, I texted him, I was like, hey, this totally takes me back to just hanging out with you. That jazz music, that contemporary going on in the background. I don't know. It reminds me of that. Any musician who does lo-fi is probably like cringing right now. Don't say that. But that's what it reminds me of. To me. So excited for these shoes. Thanks. I cannot wait to wear them. I cannot wait to wear them. I like the temptation to be like, no, I worked so hard on them, I don't want to wear them. But the point, like, of making. But I don't like a lot of stuff. My life is more simple with less stuff. It's been working for me, especially when we moved internationally for the first time. And quite the personal growth experience to kind of, what I mean by that is to work through my relationship with my kids, I think would be the best way to put it, is that like, he has things and we with those things. And I think understanding that relationship is important. And that's really what moving internationally for me was, because in the process of moving internationally, we packed up our entire house and we did put some things in storage, but I remember going into me feeling so overwhelmed, just like, how am I going to do this? Thinking like, okay, well, how do I make this manageable? What relationship to all this stuff? Do I love it? Do I not? Do I want to keep it? I remember I kind of just gave myself some rules, and I asked myself every single thing that asked myself, I was like, am I willing to pay to store this? Am I willing to pay to move this with me wherever I'm going? Or can I let it go? Kind of put it into that mindset of like, at least for me, like how much my things cost me. Just having a lot of things, it costs me space, it costs me time. Like the amount of time that, and keep it organized so it's not just a big, did I want that? And that question, growth opportunity, just kind of like, what is my relationship with the things that I own? For that, we all have different relationships with our things. And that kind of was mine. And so what I have found out about myself in that process is that I prefer less stuff because I don't want to spend my money on it. I'd rather spend my money on going than on a thing if I don't need it. We don't need that much stuff, like 4 suitcases and that's it. We maybe only bought like a handful of things that were necessities, but beyond that, I've been okay without a lot of stuff. So I realized like how much I don't need. And I also realized like how much time it saved me. And like for me, time is huge because it's the one resource. Break it back. Every other resource you can something else, but time is not figured out time travel yet. And time is not something we can get back. So I think the amount of time that I save, and that's a huge core value of mine is time. Time is a huge core value for me. It's one of the most important things. So, don't know how I got on this subject, but however I led here, those are my thoughts on that. Oh, thanks, Austin. These shoes are looking great. I'm really excited about them. Super excited. Good. That was just the finish of the third coat and set of green stencils. So, if I need a 4th coat, but I'm really excited. Ellis, do you want them? Please make me a pair. You have another pair coming that you've designed. It's gonna be really sweet. I was teasing it a little bit, but I didn't say teeny livery. I'm very excited. Because I'm probably away to more like probably 2 months away from making shoes. So it'll be a good couple. Or even probably I'm able to start on those shoes. take a look. I definitely need a little bit more on the toe, so yeah, I think to be safe, I'm gonna do a 4th coat. So 3rd coat's done. I'm gonna do a 4th coat. I feel like I missed this section. Maybe in my talking. Maybe in my deep talking, I missed it. My old stylist, who I absolutely love, but miss dearly, but it just wasn't feasible. Needed to stay with them after we moved abroad. Talk and go so deep and calm. It's something about being creative. I get too philosophical or deep. I don't know. It's not even philosophical. It's just random talking and thought. Experience. This 4th coat, I feel like it's just very fast because I feel like it's just very light, right? It's not a 3rd heavier. This 4th coat is just like a final polish. It's a final little extra because again, like right now, I wonder, okay, is it because it's out by a lighter color? Black, is it not showing that? But as soon as it's up against the black, will my eye fill in? I was talking about will my eyes fill in the darkness? Because the green is right next to the black. That's very possible that our eyes and our brains do that. Things. So if it's not a full solid color block, it might want to start filling in and seeing more black underneath than that's actually there. I don't want that. Idea. I start wearing them, I'll know if too much. Yeah, if I can see the brush strokes, I need another coat. Especially on the tightness of this toe box, I can definitely see brush strokes, so. Not is, I don't understand why. I figured out if my mic has been really bad. I figured it out finally. It only took 2 hours and 50 minutes to figure out why the mic kept picking up the sound from my laptop as I stream music. Hopefully it's been synced. If not, okay. I almost got cocky there. I almost went over. Got Nike. The way that I said that, the tone of my voice when I just said that made me think of a YouTuber, Brad Hall, who, oh my God, his channel cracks me up. Ugh. Brad Hall. Look at him on YouTube if you like sneakers. I'm sure you already, if you like sneakers, you already know who he is. Hilarious. Kind of die every time I watch him. So many amazing people who put amazing things out into the world. Right. Finish line on this fourth coat, which I can tell it will be the last one because the coverage is much better now. I don't see any strokes. I don't see any black underneath. We did it. The green on the right shoe is done for touch-up work. Okay, I'm gonna put this away. I definitely want to give time for this to dry before I peel off. So I'm gonna hit it with a heat gun. Clunk, 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 clunk. Before I do that, I keep my brushes really clean, so I'm just going to get a little bit of cleaner on them. Again, this is the brush cleaner is my favorite brush cleaner. It also will moisturize and keep your bristles really nice. And it lasts for forever. Like it's not thick, but he's done this all. But he cutting it up. Probably let it sit before I pencils off. I just have to decide if that's something and I want to wait. Do I want to do I just want to take them off now? It's like the impatience. I just want to see. It's like a kid at Christmas or a kid who like can't wait, that has no patience. See. So excited. I will do a small one on the inside. So if it's nah, this is looking good. A little bit of touch up, but also it's coming off clean. So I do think my issue was that the paint. I think that was the issue. The paint not dry enough. That looks good. I mean, I do have a little bit of cleanup on that one edge, but that's nothing but so good. Yeah. And I think, like I said, I solved it because there's absolute around it. An underbleed is that lighter color, right? So under is the first base layer. So once that first base layer, it creates like a little barrier, and it like the extra layer under. So I think that's why that first base layer is so important. Light paint and with the strokes on it. So There's a little bit of gooiness, but actually having the heat gun on it and having it a little warm is actually helping quite a bit. I'm gonna move the paint and the brushes out of the way. Stick everything onto this. Hey, the camera's working. Now you can see the peeling off. Yeah, that looks good. This, it was this one right here. So again, like some cleanup, but that is, dude, tell you, nice, just this easier cleanup is going to be. Get under it a little bit because I can't always, my fingernails don't always get under it. Okay, so what was working well is actually having the vinyl a little warm so it doesn't stick so much. That is helping with it so gooey. I don't put the gun down right next to me, the heat, because I'm working on a plastic table and like on this plastic vinyl mat. And because the heat gun is hot, I don't stop. So I put it down on my work rack, which is metal. This one's pretty clean. A little bit of, hey, I'm super happy on that one. That's looking good. Like that looks really good. Okay, so yeah, definitely having the stencil heated, the vinyl heated, definitely makes it smoother for coming off. I'm not seeing as much goo. I'm not seeing it rip off. I think the combination of letting the paint sit overnight to dry, well as heat gun, a really clean line. Again, like there's some touch-up work, but it's nothing that can't be managed. And I think it's happening where I'm going over, where it's hard to push it down, right? It's happening where it goes over the stitching, where it goes over these edges. Like that's to be expected. This is a complicated design. It's going to have touch-up. I don't think there's any way around it. This reminds me of like my college days after like firing a kiln and you don't quite know what the result's gonna be, and you fired the kiln and like all your pottery's in there and you open it up and you're like, what are all the surprises I'm gonna see? Totally reminds me of that. It's like the best part. Unless of course it goes horribly wrong and you're like, no, to fix it, like I did yesterday when my mic wasn't working and you guys did not see. Well, you got to see it. Hear it. That heel's looking pretty sweet, right? Like, wait, yeah, that looks good. Like, or I think the shoe's looking good. And kind of what I was talking about of like with all the tape on it, it feels very like when the tape comes off and you actually get to see the positive and negative space, it doesn't too busy. So I'm glad I added some of the pieces, because here, you know, it feels really busy because I have all of the stencils on. But as you peel it away, here's right. I kind of followed my gut and went ahead and added a few extra areas. You know, I think with the purple, I was reading online that sometimes, like if you heat up the vinyl, before you start painting, it'll kind of adhere, and I'm noticing it is then adhering to, like, it's molding to the shoe shape. So maybe that could be something I could play around with. Stencil to, if it doesn't make it so it pulls up any extra paint, gives it so I also don't have any extra bleed. I'll try that next time. Again, you know, it's like, it's learning materials, it's playing. But I mean, not like that right there. Happy with that, like some bleed, right? So you can kind of see, but it's up. It'll be okay. Oh, how these like just, they line up perfectly. I like it. So there's some stickiness. Some stickiness. This is also the section though that I kind of messed up without. I have to go back and repaint the black anyway. Maybe that's what's causing that. But again, it's clean. It's pretty good lines. This though. Yeah. Hey, it's okay. This is a really, there we go, part of the leather. So I'm noticing like this, probably because this leather, it has a lot more of like texture and variation because it's so soft. And that's also right, the toe box bends. Last stencil. It's the last stencil. Very satisfying. That line. That is a clean line. That looks sweet. Real sweet. That looks cool. Yeah. Can't tell, is this? Yeah. Vinyl stock? No, that's not vinyl. That's just like the previous. Is it? No. No, that's just like the previous line of the previous design. Like this perfect edge to it, but that's okay. All right. So the green is done. There's definitely the touch-up work. That's okay. It's to be expected. I feel like it's looking really, I'm really excited about how this is turning out so far. Tap the X-Acto because otherwise I'll poke myself. Yeah, so got the toe box. So I think like, you know, once I add some purple, I think this is a pretty open section, but I'll definitely get some purple and like some of the red here. But you know what? It's cool. It's cool. I think that's going to be awesome. And then here is the inside of the and it's looking good. I love how like the swoosh, and I love how it connects back here. Keeping it black. This, imagine it with the purple and the cool. And then we have the outside. How these guys right here like line to back in. So I messed that section up. So I have to fill that back in. But I love how this one like hugs the swoosh like this, and then the heel, which is looking cool. Oh man, this is really cool how it just kind of goes up and around and over the Nike. And so I think, yeah, on this one, probably having like the Nike, I don't know, I'll have to play around with it. If the Nike's going to be purple here, the Nike's going to be Nike white. See, but so far I'm really this day for today. Tomorrow, I'll be streaming the same time. I've decided to switch my time back. So again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, starting from at 1 o'clock Asia time. So I think that's like something like that. So Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And I've just had a great time today. At just 3 hours, so 8, 11, 10 hours on, probably 11 hours so far on this HKS custom design. Maybe these shoes will take me 40 hours. I don't know. Than the 60 the first ones took me. But I'm just having a really good time. I'm so excited for them. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you next time. Okay, bye. Oh, I haven't said bye yet because I'm, still... Okay, no, bye.